Well, welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Motorsport, number 3 already with me and Troy Corser. Welcome, Troy. We've had a great weekend. We've just got back from Morgan Park, round 4 of the My Bike Motorcycle Insurance Australian Superbike Championship. Great weekend up there, and welcome again, Troy.
Yeah, g'day, Braxy. Nice to be here to have a chat.
Yeah, it was. We had a good chat over the weekend, but we'll talk about Morgan Park later. But at the moment, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a bit of a coup this week for our next episode. We've got Steve Shelley, one of the co-owners and the man behind One Raceway down at Goulburn, which was the old Wakefield Park. A man of very passionate means. He's a motorsport enthusiast, owns Pheasant Wood that was going to be the track of choice, but when the opportunity came up to purchase Wakefield Park and rejuvenate it, now call it One Raceway, and do a multitude of things, we've got him on the program, and he's going to actually show us around. So besides the audio, we're going to be on video as well. Welcome, Steve, and welcome to Let's Talk Motorsport.
Yeah, thanks, Braxy, and thanks, Troy. Thanks for having me on.
No worries, mate. And, well, it looks a nice little frosty morning down there. I presume no clouds in the sky means the old fingers might be a bit chilly.
Yeah, it's bloody cold down here, but not like yesterday or last week. We were down at 3 and 4s, and even with the wind chill factor, we had less than 0 for the last week, which has been, particularly cold and not conducive to asphalting and hot mix. But we're away again today. We've got the weather gods are shining upon us, and we're putting down the asphalt.
Well, you've really been up against it, haven't you? You've had this been work in progress for quite some time, but the weather has really mucked you about with the rain. And I saw some photos you put up on socials a couple of months ago, and you've really been up against it.
Yeah, mate, we have. We've lost about 2.5 months in total just through weather. Now the soil down around the Goulburn Way is quite clayey. It's also a bit. I think they call it aquaphobic, so it doesn't really like getting wet. It stays wet for a long time. It doesn't drain that well. And all the earthworks that we've been doing here, which has been quite immense, has been really slow progress and been a bit demoralising. But the team's still got their spirits up, and we're still pushing ahead as hard as we can. As you know, we've got our sleeves rolled up, looking towards the ASPK in the first weekend in October. That's going to be our launch event. We're really excited about it.
So it's all systems go. You reckon the weather now that we're starting to get through that worst part of winter? So winter coming at the end of the July, they'll be able to be working 24 hours a day, but that's what I'm trying to get it done.
Mate, I don't know whether we've lost each other here. You went a bit robot there, but I presume that you can hear me all right.
Yep, we've got you back now.
Right. Not quite sure what you said then, but might just get you to give me a bit of a recap if you don't mind.
I was just saying that you've really had it up against it with the weather and trying to get it done. I believe there's a test being penciled in there as well. You might have the floodlights out doing 24/7 work on the place.
Oh, yeah. Well, we've got about, where are we? On the 16th or 17th of July, I think we are today. So we've only got about 8 weeks to go, something like that. So, yeah, it's we're right up against it. We admit that, but we've had a crisis meeting with all of our suppliers, our wonderful team, Roadworks, Divals, all of our plumbers, electricians, our builders, everybody, all of our team, our own employees, our concreters, and everybody believes that they're going to be able to get their bit done. And our team is super passionate. They're good, hard, solid working guys and girls, and we're going for it, mate. We're going to put our ears back and just treat it like a race.
So what's the council been like now? Have they been really supportive of you, like more than just supportive, but really pushing forward because they can see what value One Raceway, well, what it did in the past, and I'm sure what you've got in line for the future, it's only going to be increased in what you've been doing.
Yeah, we had the good fortune of
lost you again.
What's that, mate?
Lost you again.
You lost me?
Yeah, you're back again.
Okay. We had the good fortune of being nominated for a couple of local business awards on Saturday night up for Pheasant Wood and for One Raceway, which we picked up 2 awards, and we were very proud of that. But at that meeting, there was several hundred local businesses at the meeting on Saturday night for the awards, and the reception that we got was very, very heartwarming. The the mayor stood up and talked about what an important asset One Raceway, or the old Wakefield Park, is to the region, and the damage that was done financially to the region when Wakefield was shut. And we actually received a very rousing, I guess, ovation, if you like, from everybody else who was there, or the other business owners who agreed that when we bring the revenue that this place used to bring back to Goulburn and the Goulburn-Maori region, it's going to be very rewarding for everybody, especially the motorsport fraternity. But the mayor stood up and basically said, how much they appreciate the fact that we're doing something which doesn't normally happen in Australian motorsport, which when a track dies, they stay dead. There's plenty of examples of that, but this is one of the only occasions that I know of that it's actually been able to be rebuilt, reinvigorated, not just reopened, but significantly improved, and we're really proud of that.
Well, the other thing that's got me impressed and excited too is that someone has finally made a racetrack that goes both ways.
Yeah, well, that's one of our big solutions that we brought to solve the problem that there was before of noise. We've got a 5 or 6 point plan, depending on which way you look at it. One of the ways that we're addressing noise is using the atmospheric conditions so that we can actually push noise away depending on which way the wind's blowing. And to do that, it's a pretty unique thing to be able to do. Not many racetracks in the world can run both ways. But we worked out devised a way. We've got our noise consultants and our engineers involved to work out what we need to do to resolve runoff areas. Obviously, it's a big one. At the end of a straight, typically there's a hairpin coming onto a straight or a fast sweeper coming onto a straight. But at the other end, it's just the opposite. So we put our heads together, built some bloody big noise walls. We used bank turns, a bit like Sandport, so we can slow vehicles or the bikes down and allow them to accelerate hard out of the corners when they're coming back out again. And we've been able to use not only the noise walls for great viewing platforms, but for an opportunity to bank the corners as well.
Well, let's you're out there and about it, and Troy's been up there to have a look, and you've seen what's been going on, Troy, so you must be pretty impressed with your experience of just visiting a couple of racetracks in your career.
Certainly, Braxy, it's fantastic. We're going to have a brand new facility here in New South Wales again. Obviously, Wakefield Park, I've been there many times in the past, and it was a great little venue, great track, and to see what Steve and the team have done up there is unbelievable. I had a chance to go up there quite in the early days, actually, when, like he said, he was putting in all that groundwork, the plumbing, the drainage, the power cables, television connection points, all that stuff, timing beams, and they even ripped up the whole pit lane and resurfaced all that again as well, and there's pit boxes going up. So the amount of work that they've put in already, that when you turned up, you'd think, well, what have you guys been doing? If you'd never been there before, is phenomenal. So to see that the weather's come back on board there with these guys, and they can get stuck into the top layer, let's say that, I don't think anybody really imagined how much groundwork, underneath work has to be done to facilitate a brand new facility up to date with all the TV connection points and so on and so forth. That's now involved in racing. Like he said, he's got safety cameras all around the place, so that's going to help them have a very up-to-date control tower, but they can have a control system with the flagging and stuff like that. So my hat's off to those guys up there. I'm looking forward to going up there again very shortly to have a look around and have a small chance to have a run around actually with Steve up there in. It's actually Steve's personal vehicle, and we're out there ripping a few laps around there just to get a bit of a feel for the camber of the corners and the length of the straights and stuff that they've changed up there. And for me, I think it's going to suit both motorcycles and cars, because Steve's a huge car enthusiast, drives a Porsche himself. And so for him to have that vision of both directions, cars, bikes and stuff, that's exactly what we need for a circuit owner.
And pretty handy on a motorbike from what he tells me too. I'd go cross country on the adventure riding.
Yeah, well, obviously he's got a passion for motorcycles as well. So to have somebody in that position's fantastic.
And Steve, just before you turn the camera around, as Troy alluded to, there's a lot of stuff that's not seen. One of them was the drainage. You've really basically ripped the place apart. And new foundations, new drainage, and because it was renowned for a couple of corners, no matter how dry it was, they'd still hold a bit of moisture. And you've done a lot of work to try and alleviate that.
Yeah, Braxy. Back, this November, this coming November, Wakefield Park was opened 30 years ago, and I must, presume back then there wasn't a real good budget that the boys had when they Paul and John had to build this place. So they didn't really put much infrastructure in place, if anything. There was no drainage, there was no pits and pipes and underground networks of getting rid of the water. The property, everybody probably who's watching this would understand exactly what Wakefield Park was. It's a rural pasture land, really, with a racetrack built on the side of it, and that's all they did. They put they went down a little bit, put a little bit of road base down, and took a bit of topsoil off and threw the circuit down, and that was the extent of the infrastructure. So being on the side of a hill, every time it rained, with the soil that I sort of talked about before, most of that water just ran down across the track or pooled, and then took its time running across the track for some weeks after. It was quite dangerous. There's plenty of YouTube clips online where you can go back and have a look at cars that are on a fair weather day, nice dry track, on slicks, and then they come across some of these standing water or streaming water that's only in a couple of places across the track, and they'd obviously come off. And that was not ideal. Nobody wants that on a dry track. So having raced here thousands of laps myself, I was very aware of that problem, and was one of the things that we knew that if we wanted to reopen this place, we need to do it right. We wanted to be here forever. It was a big investment, but we've actually ripped, like you say, we ripped everything up. We put in about 35 kilometres of underground pits and pipes, everything from 300, 400, 500, even 600 millimetre pipes, all in a very controlled and measured way. We've had a lot of hydraulic advice on how to handle all the stormwater that hits this place, because a lot of the time that all the water would run down across the car park, through the pit garages, and then across the car park and out onto Braidwood Road, and cause flooding out there. So we've actually put in all that infrastructure. We've got beautiful rock line swale drains all over the property. We've got ag lines everywhere underneath all of the upside of every area of the track, so that any water that does creep across the ground does find its way down and into that those pits and pipe networks that we talked about with all of our fantastic system that we put in place. And it all works together to send the water down through detention tanks and detention holding tanks, so that we can control the water back out into the natural water system, so that it doesn't cause flooding in any area. I'm really proud of the work we've done there, and we've used that opportunity to also, like Troy was talking about, we've invested a lot of money in technology. There's been a lot of incidents here across the years where people have gone in field and hit the marshalling points, puts everybody at risk. There was I think 7 infield marshalling points, and most of them had a lot of damage from being hit. There's been quite a few occasions where people have been injured hitting those, and the poor bloody marshal standing inside that on an infield, especially on an enduro type event, where they're stuck in field. They can't get out. They can't go to the bathroom. Can't get in to eat or drink, and in a dangerous environment. So we've taken out all of those infield marshalling points, and we partner with MyLaps, so we're putting outfield or external to the racetrack, except for one light point, where we're putting all the marshalling points are now lights, the beautiful big LED lights, and they're all controlled either locally, depending on what sort of event we're having, or from the local course or the race control. Yeah, so we put in a hell of a lot of underground infrastructure. It's taken a long time. We've had a fantastic relationship with our friends at Divals, a wonderful local civil engineering company who have done all of our earthworks, in addition to the earthworks that we've done ourselves. And we're really proud of the fact that we've finally resolved this 30-year-old problem. Yeah.
Much hats off to you, mate. And let's, now that you're out there, let's have a look and see what you've a few little tidbits of what you've been doing.
Yeah, I'll flip the camera around and give you a bit of an idea. Hopefully you'll be able to see it. But I'm standing up on top of the southern noise wall. You know, there's a vehicle about to go past. Might give you a sense of how high it is. There's about 350 B doubles and trucks and dogs go past here every day. They're very noisy, and it gives us a sense of how these noise walls work. When we're back down here on the track, you can't hear those trucks go past. So we're really excited about the fact that we've built these huge noise walls. But getting back to the track, if you can probably see the old Turn 10 complex just on the infield there where those trucks are. There's our wonderful roadworks team over there who are setting up to put the first layer of the wear course down, the final course. We went around the outside there yesterday and put some little infill sections so that what they call echelon paving can take place, so we can start putting our racetrack down. Yeah, there's the old Turn 10 sitting on the inside there. There was always a lot of incidents where you'd come off at the end of Turn 10 after a relatively fast back straight, end up in the kiddie litter and into the wall. And what we worked out was, probably can't see from this angle, but over where those two trucks are over the other side there, you peel off, and now the new circuit comes around. We call it Slingshot. That's our nickname for it. So there's the old. I know the sun might be a bit glary there. I might go down and give you another.
No, that's fine there.
But you can see it. So we've now got the capacity to come down the straight rather than up the straight, and in the anti-clockwise direction. This would be to driver's left. That vehicle just there, that would be to driver's or rider's left, as opposed to what was always going to be on driver's right when you're in the old clockwise rotation. We've got to come up with a naming convention, because what was once the old Turn 10 is now in where Turn 1 would be. So this would be Turn 1 and Turn 2. We've added 3 new turns to the circuit. I'll get up and show you what I'm talking about in a few minutes. But so what we've got is this bank turn. You can't really tell, but there's about an 11-degree angle of bank through here. And it's quite a dynamic experience to drive it. I cannot wait to get this asphalt down and hit this corner at speed to try it. I know Troy had a good time when it was gravel, and we had about I would think we iterated probably about 30 times before we actually came up with the actual circuit layout. We had the graders and the bobcats and the bulldozers, and we kept massaging it, playing with it, and tuning it, and just really, really working this until it just felt right. There's certain things you can do on paper as a plan, but nothing like riding by by the seat of your pants and having a drive of it. When Troy came up and had a bit of a drive and said, "Well, I think you've nailed it." Every other person that we've had that is in motorsport that really appreciates motorsport has come and had a go of it. They reckon that it's just bang on. So we've got there's been a lot of work done just to this corner. There's been I don't know, tens of thousands of hours just put into this one corner of combined effort. But yeah, we're really excited about it. We will be leaving.
Just to give viewers an idea, Steve, coming past the old cabins there, where the back straight used to come into the sharp right-hander onto the main straight, is there a little bit of a left-hand kink that opens it up to bring, as you say, the slingshot? Then it comes round in the big right-hand of the little left-hand kink to bring it back onto the main straight?
Yeah, you probably can't see it from this angle, but can you see that bar truck over there?
Yep.
Well, as you're coming out of Fishhook, and you're coming along the back straight, there's actually a little right-hander before you go into the left. So we tried to wash off a bit of speed by a little right-hand kink, and then you dive left down into what is a banked, like a ribbon, a twisted ribbon that takes you down into the complex. This is banked all the way around, and again, you might not be able to see it from here, but it's a very similar mirror to the other side where you've actually got to go slightly into the infield to a little right-hander, and then there's a left-hander to get back on the straight. So that's designed so that when you're coming down the straight, you wash off a little bit of speed to come into this complex here.
And a great passing opportunity both ways as well.
Yeah, it is. That's exactly why we did it. So we've considered everything from a safety aspect and a speed aspect. We've done simulators. We've built a simulator model of this, which will eventually make available once we have it 100% down, and we'll release that so people can practice here. But the driving experience is just fantastic. There was a lot of questions about runoff areas. We've been working very close with MA2 and MA4 about runoff distance using speed diagrams, they call it, where you have to calculate potential speeds and potential get-offs. And you might not be able to see it from here, but in the event that anybody was to lose it through here, that's a hell of a long way up before you get up to the tyre wall as we saw at Morgan Park on the weekend, when you come off and you're onto anything other than asphalt, you got a potential for a lot of damage. And we like to think that, and we took Troy's advice on this. Should it be kiddie litter? Should it be asphalt? And most of the circuits in the world these days are going to asphalt because most errors happen through rider error. It's not like the old days where you'd have a catastrophic failure with a throttle getting stuck on, or brakes not working, or steering giving way, or everything else. And tyre technologies, everything's so good these days. It's predominantly rider or driver error that gets you into an issue. And you do make a bit of a mistake, come in a bit hot, there's plenty of room to catch what you've done wrong and regather and get back on in both directions. So I'll take you down and show you what we've done down at the old Turn 1 2 complex, which is now Turn 1 2 3 complex. We've introduced a whole new turn down on the northern end of the circuit. That's predominantly so that we can take sound away from some of the neighbours who were getting drowned with sound as you accelerated out of the old Turn 2, heading up the hill into Turn 3. We've now moved Turn 2 is now flattened out, so it's a faster corner, and also then heading up the hill, it's going to be a lot quieter. People would know where the old sound meter used to be, or the circuit's out about where the old sound meter used to be. That's how far we pushed it out. Anyway, that's a bit of a glimpse into what we call slingshot. We think it's going to be a bit of a game changer, and it does allow us to have built two circuits in the one place. There's a little Easter egg in our logo. If you see our logo, it's actually the one raceway. The 1R is actually a 1 and a 2 put together to form an R, and that's because we've got two circuits, one raceway. Yeah, so it brings its own little challenges. How do you get into the pits, and how do you get out of the pits, and how do you try and make your pit lane entry and your pit lane exit work together? So we're doing some significant works on that. How do you rejoin the circuit, and how do you peel off the circuit when you want to make your pit lane exit become a pit lane entry, depending on which way you run? And we've got that issue at both ends. But again, we're working with MA2 and MA4 to come up with solutions for how that all works. But we think we're going to nail that too. You can probably see over there, I don't know how good your vision is, Braxy, but I'm on a 10-metre high wall here. This is, I think, one of the best vantage points of any spectator vantage points anywhere in the country, potentially anywhere in the world, because you can't believe how up close and personal you are here watching this the motorsport from this angle. We've got a lot of work to do.
So will people be able to sit on the bank there and like an amphitheatre style? That's
our plan. Yeah. We're going to have a fence here just on the left, fence on the right, and this will be spray sealed across the top, so people can bring up their deck chair and or an esky, whatever they want to do, and sit on that. Watch from here. Here's our footpath that brings you up, and there's I hope people are going to enjoy this. This is a fairly significant amendment where we've built a big concrete car park, because that shitty old broken up asphalt car park that dragged all the gravel and dirt and dust into your garage always used to be a horrible experience to me, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. But yeah, so we've now got this beautiful big 11,500 square metre concrete car park, so people can enjoy motorsport without all the inconvenience.
Looks like a good skid pan too.
Yeah, well, who knows? But
the interesting thing there as well, what Steve was just pointing out, that's at Turn 1, or the last one. At the other end, when I was last up there, they've replicated that exact wall, like he was saying, to reflect the sound. So the viewing area is actually at both ends of the straight, which is quite unusual. Most circuits only at Turn 1 or the last. So yeah, that 10-metre bank, you stand down the other end, you can actually see about, I would say, a good 60% of the circuit from down the other way, because you're looking straight up the hill. And like Steve said, they've only added 3 or changed 3 of the corners. So the existing shape of the circuit's more or less the same. It sort of does change the flow of the circuit a little bit. As Steve said, I went up there and we've done quite a few laps back and forwards, both directions, through many different sectors of the circuit. And we agreed on the shape of the corner, the curves, and like he said, moving the flag marshal boxes, because it was in a dangerous position and stuff. And now I've just seen this concrete pad. They didn't have that done when I was last up there. So the amount of work that they put in just to get that in there, and like he pointed out, with slick tyres, sticky slicks, people with their vehicles, you don't want to be out there with gravel and stuff getting pulled in on your tyres and into the paddock. So to put the pits, also the thinking of the public around, not just the racer, but the public and the pubs and around the circuit, is it what Steve's all about. And that's what I really liked about it. He's really thinking about the safety aspect, also the comfort of the people. I believe the camping area, which is going to be up on the other side of the circuit, is going to be looking straight down over the top of the circuit. So pretty much covers everything that motorsports needs from a racetrack is what Steve's put into this place.
So you just said camping,
right.
Troy, and that's Steve. That is, I wouldn't say it's a coup because you can do other camping at other tracks, but that will put a smile on a lot of people's faces about being able to camp there.
Well, don't get me into trouble yet, because I'm not sure that we got camping approved yet. But so yeah, I'm just going to put a caveat on that. That's yet to be determined. Just opening up camping is a whole new kettle of fish, but it's a big issue. We've got to make sure we've got all the infrastructure in place and all the right permissions, and we talk to the police and the council about all that sort of thing. But we're trying to just get one thing done at the moment, which is finish off this track. It's still a lot of work to do. You can probably tell, but we are sprinting. There's not a lot of movement today, but we've had up to 45 machines here, and I'm talking at one time moving at the same time. I'm talking about scrapers and D8s and multiple diggers. When I say diggers, I'm talking about 20, 30, 40 ton and 50 ton diggers, mini graders. It's been a monumental effort. But yeah, so thank you, Troy. Thank you for your kind words and your compliments there. But
sorry, mate, if I jumped on the camping side there. I remember last time there was a couple of your cabins down there, so I thought you might have had
the old cabins. The old cabins, there's my cruiser up there sitting next to my cabin number 3. That's my home away from home. I've had 54 or 55 trips down from Sydney since I bought the place. I'm here 3 or 4 days a week with my brother, Greg, and Cameron lives here, trying to get this show on the road.
Well, Cameron would be having fun on the bulldozers, wouldn't he? He loves his earth moving equipment.
He loves it, mate. Yeah, so my little home away from home up there. But once we finish up here, we'll let the punters get back in there and enjoy camping or staying at their I hope to be their favourite racetrack. But yeah, so we've it's little things like all the things that I used to hate about that was inconvenient, like narrow garage doors, which was always an inconvenience. Race cars don't steer that well in tight circumstances, so small radius turns. So we're putting wide doors on. We're lifting up the doors because you'd bang your head on the low garage doors. So we're putting all new garage doors. We're refreshing the toilets. Not all of them at this stage. We don't have enough time to get everything done, but we've resolved the problem of water going into the garage. This enormous drain complex along the pit straight. It's just endless. One of the biggest problems we've got, believe it or not, is we can't get enough tyres. That it's as much as you think used car tyres are in abundance. Actually, the logistics of getting the tyres that we require to build our tyre bundles and physically bolt them together FIA standards is an extremely time-consuming and expensive thing to do. When you consider just a tyre pack bolting them together where the sidewalls meet and where the tyres meet on every occasion, there has to be a nut and a bolt and a washer each side. So drilling holes and bolting them all together so that they're FIA compliant is an enormous process, and just transporting the tyres and getting them all around. It's all those little things you just don't see that are going into the place.
So with the pit complex, what improvements are you doing there? You said about the garage doors and everything, but are you making more pit garages? Because we used to have like A, B and C shelters at the back of down further past the control tower and such. Yeah,
so we are working with the council on a DA for our phase 2, which will be a new pit complex down where the old control tower used to be. That control tower, I don't know how the hell it didn't fall down. It was held together with the balsa nails, I think. I don't know. It was when we pulled the skin off it and worked out that it was literally patched together with spare parts, and It was a rabbit warren full of little rooms, and it was pokey, and it was off angle, and it was down low, and it got wet inside, and it was noisy. So yeah, it was just in a very inconvenient place.
Now I understand why the commentary box floor used to move a little bit.
Yeah, and it was dangerous as well. You know, you probably climbed up into that little pulpit right up the top there a few times, Braxy, but you know, if you fell off that ladder going up there, you'd pretty much goner because you'd fallen down into a stairwell. So I don't know how the hell it was even approved, but anyway, it's gone. We are working on phase 2, which is our proper, genuine, masonry and steel purpose-built garage complex with a proper race control. For ASBK, we are building a temporary race control just out of shipping containers because we weren't able to get our DA through in time to ensure that it was going to be operational. So yeah, we're just going to have a makeshift race control and timing building, and we just got also a relatively makeshift medical centre, which we've been working with MA2 and MA4 to ensure compliance there as well.
Well, you've had a lot of, like we said before, the weather hasn't been kind to you in the last few months as well, with putting all those things behind. And that photo you put up a while ago of the water that was the standing water that was beside the old control tower and stuff. What you said, what you don't see and what you've had to do is monumental.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure that people will see subtle changes, and when I talk about the major changes in the circuit, there's also a lot of fairly significant yet subtle changes as well in the circuit. My experience as a racer, I was very aware of where I felt the track was just a little bit out of where the car wants to be, or for the ultimate driving line, or the ultimate racing line. So I took the liberty of doing those subtle changes to make that sound easy. But when you want to change the way the track flows, that's a fairly significant job. You have to box out and put all the appropriate drainage and all the ag lines in. You got to do all that work, and then you got to go down because the ground was all so sodden and wet. We had to go down about a metre or sometimes 2 metres down.
Wow!
In a lot of areas, just to find good solid base to then start building up our stabilised road base, so we can. I don't know whether you're getting all this, but we've still got a little bit of work to do there. But so then you build everything up in 200 millimetre levels so that it's nice and stable, just so that you can push the circuit out. In some cases we've moved the circuit out about 1,500 or even up to 2 metres. There's the old pit lane, which will be asphalt. And there's our new drain that we built, which is going full way along our now 400 metre long pit lane.
Well, that's about twice the size of what it used to be, isn't it?
It is. Yep. Well, we had to extend the pit lane down so that the exit or the entry, depending on which way you're running, is conducive to coming off what used to be turn 1, which is now turn 13, depending on which way you go. We needed to make sure that you're exiting or entering the pit lane in a very safe environment. Yeah, so there's been a lot going into it. And,
I just want to jump in there. Sorry, Steve. We went into turn 1 both directions multiple times, actually, and the speed increased mildly each time. So we could get a real feel of the flow of the circuit, like Steve was talking about. Having my eye as a motorcycle rider and Steve and his brother's eye for cars, I believe we really nailed the flow and the shape of this corners on these circuits now.
Yeah. I don't know how well the camera's portraying how there's a little bit of a left-hand kink to turn right to dive down into our slingshot complex, but you'll see it when you drive it. It's going to be fun.
And so what about the old turn 1? Is that because it was that fast right-hand kink into that very tight right-hander that before it took you up the hill through the fast left-hand turn 3? Is that changed very much?
No, the old turn 1 is very similar to what it used to be. However, people would know that you'd have to be pretty brave not to have a bit of a dab going through there. But I think it's going to be a lot less of a dab, and the brave ones might even not just have a lift. We'll wait and see. The reason I say that is because soon after you had quite a sharp right-hander. It used to be called turn 2, or still called turn 2, but it was quite a sharp right-hander. What we've done so that we can allow what we discovered during our simulators is that there's acceleration zones. So what we've tried to do is remove as many acceleration zones as we can so to minimise noise. Every decibel we remove contributes towards reducing the noise. So by flattening out turn 2 and making it more of a second kink, that allows us to carry more speed through turn 2. And then the new turn 3 is also a faster turn than what the old turn 2 was, but we're still able to get back up to where the old turn 3 was, which is now turn 4. Don't know whether that'll make sense.
Yeah. Well, anybody that's been there would understand that description of what you're aiming to do, because then when you got up to turn 4, you were hard on the brakes. It was almost like a double apex 4 and 5 before it brought you back down the hill towards the fish hook.
Yeah. Here's something which I think you're going to like, Troy. We're putting a gate in the main straight.
Yes.
So that you blokes like to carry on with all your generators and spare tyres and your fancy team that come out and give you support. We need to get you off having a 400-metre long straight. We're putting a nice.
That's always been quite a big part for me, because you see all the teams turning up with their tyre warmers, their generators, their toolboxes, all the stuff, and they're trying to jam them through a gate which is not even wide enough for one person to walk through.
Well, it was a ladder there before. You had to climb up and over a ladder.
Exactly. And there's still circuits today that don't have, for me, adequate access on and off the circuit for the riders, but also for safety personnel if you need to have fast access just across the track.
Correct.
So, no, it's great to see you put that into place there, Steve, because I know it will benefit the circuit for sure.
Yeah, well, we think it'll be well received by everybody. And it's a fantastic thing in the event of there's sorry about the racket. We're building our temporary race control timing tower out of shipping containers. But that little hole in the ground there, that's going to carry our gantry. So our gantry is going to span up. I think it's got nearly 4 metres underneath a 3 metre by 1 metre Milapse light panel, and that we can convey any information we want on that light panel. So from in a clockwise direction and an anti-clockwise direction, there's going to be a 3 metre by 1 metre light panel spanning across the skyline there above the control line.
So will you have two different start lines, or is it going to be you'll have a longer run one way and a shorter run the other way, or is it right in the middle of the straight where the start line's going to be?
Well, there's something you don't really think about, Braxy, is there isn't a start line. You know, I kind of didn't ever think about this until I had to turn my mind to it. Where you start in your position, P1, that's your start line, right? So it's the control line is what counts. So you only need one control line, which is what we used to call the start-finish line. We need one of them, and that'll be pretty much directly underneath the gantry.
Okay.
So what we're going to have is looking to the south. We're going to have all the position lines on the track this way, and when we start heading towards the north, we're going to have a series of start lines or position lines that way. Does that make sense?
I understand what you mean there, Steve. Yeah, so just mirror image whether you head down
correct
clockwise or anti-clockwise.
Yeah. So if you're racing the old clockwise direction, which was always known as Wakefield, the P lines will be down there. And if you're racing in this direction, what we're going to call the Shelley loop, you'll have P lines on this way. Yep. Yeah. So a lot of people were whinging, or not whinging, they had an opinion that they didn't like the fact that we changed the name of Wakefield Park to One Raceway. So
I think you've given a good explanation why, mate, because it's a completely new racetrack.
It is, mate. And I don't know what a lot of people probably don't know this, but when John and Paul built the circuit back in 93 and opened it in 94, they really couldn't come up with a name for it. So they both like Castrol, the brand of oil, which was developed in the UK in, I think, 1830 or 1840 or something by a bloke called Charles Wakefield. So just because they like the brand Wakefield oil, they decided to call it Wakefield Park. So it doesn't really have any, it's not synonymous with the region or Australian culture or anything like that. So they subsequently went around and painted all their buildings or used colour-bond colours with the green and the cream, because that was what the Castrol colours were. So yeah, we in our consultation process with the neighbours, with the council, with other authorities, there was a common sentiment that a lot of people, I'm not talking about a lot of motorsport people, but there was a lot of people in the region that just were over the name Wakefield. That was tarnished by a lot of people, and it was requested that we would consider changing the name. So, like you just said, Braxy, we've done a hell of a lot of work here, and it is a new circuit. It really is. It's and I'm not taking anything away from what Wakefield Park was, and the reason I bought it is because I just bloody love the place. It's my little Disneyland. And but
it's every boy's dream to grow up and have a racetrack.
Well, I'll be gone one day, but this place will still be here. So it's not necessarily just for me; it's for the motorsport fraternity. We're doing this, and I'd like to think in generations to come, people are still enjoying the work that we're doing today. But when we started to think about, well, if we're going to change the name, what are we going to call it? To me, when I thought about what the problems were, there was a lot of disharmony and a lot of broken relationships, and all the bad things that came along with all of that. And what we were trying to achieve was a unified community where our neighbours didn't hate us anymore. As a matter of fact, they might want to even come and participate or observe or just be part of all the fun that happens here. And we start thinking about unity and togetherness and community and all of those other good things. We thought, well, what's synonymous with racing? What's everybody trying to achieve? They want to be on that top podium, which is number one. So why the hell don't we just call it one? So we can all be one together and enjoy the place instead of fighting. So yeah, One Raceway it is. People are already just calling it one. And I hope over time that it's just, if anybody wants to still call it Wakefield, they're more than welcome to. I still call Eastern Creek, even though it's called Sydney Motorsport Park these days. So it doesn't change the name. It's just my perception of it. So anyway, we're calling the old loop, the clockwise loop Wakefield, and we're just going to call the anti-clockwise loop the Shelley loop.
Okay, because that was a question. That was a question about what were you, because you can't really call them turn 1, 2, 3, and 4, because then it's just confusing the issue. You've got to come up with the original names for each corner complex.
Yeah, correct. So we've got our good friends at Clark's Concreting. They've put our inside curbs in. This only started on I think Thursday last week, and we've already pretty much gone all the way around the circuit. Where are they now? They're just over there, coming out of Fishhook now. Yeah, so we've got this FIA homologated curb style, which is now, I don't know whether you can see it, but there's about a 50 mil lip left. That will be where our friends at Roadworks bring what's called the wearing course back up to that level. There was lots and lots of dips and lots of cracks and lots of soft spots and lots of what they call crocodile effect, where the track was broken up. So we've gone away, we've gone through and leveled all of those up. We've put in an enormous amount of infrastructure underneath to make sure that it's all flat and it's going to be a nice smooth circuit, so it's as safe a circuit as possible.
That's turn 1 you're at now, or the old turn 1 you're at now, or the new turn 1.
Correct. Yeah, well this is the old turn 1.
That looks very
pretty
fast.
Much unchanged, and that is the pit exit. So if you can see coming out of behind, those who know the place probably see that you've got to go back a couple hundred metres to find the old pit wall.
Yep.
So we've extended the pit wall quite significantly. You'll see this enormous big complex that we built this little bloody Years Rock all the way around. We've moved about somewhere between 10 and 12 million tonnes of dirt to build these two complexes.
Wow.
Yes. So the problem is you don't just pick up some dirt and move it and then it's done. Yeah, I'm astounded how many times you have to handle dirt to actually for it to get into its final resting place. So when we consider the time and motion study and all the dirt we've moved, it's been a phenomenally big process. And what's happening over here at the moment is we've only through the week we put our last stabilised road base down to and graded it, so our enormous new runoff area in turn 2 is now being sealed and ready for roadworks to complete the asphalting through the week. We expect that about mid-August all of the asphalting will be done, and then we have to go about doing our final touches, putting belting on all of our you can see there they're putting a gravel down over the hot bitumen. It's a rubberized product so that it's get down and show you. It's actually, I can pull that out my nail. It's a very soft waterproofing agent to ensure that the circuit has got endurance, going to last for a very, very long time. Yeah, so
that's phenomenal amount of work there, Steve. Like I said, that banking area.
And show you what the.
Well, we might have been losing him with the technology.
Yeah, you might have just stepped the other.
Have I still got you?
Yeah, you're back now. We can. Yeah.
Okay, righto. Well, so here we are. We're at the curving on the inside of turn 2, or the new turn 12. And for those that are familiar with the place, you're pretty much from here. You'd head up the hill, up to turn 3. Can you see that?
Yep.
So the old internal curve come through here and head up the hill. So what we've done is we've actually significantly straightened this out, and what that allows us to do is to carry a lot of corner speed through turn 1. Turn 2 used to be in a quick car around 105 k's an hour. We think we've got that. We've now got that up to possibly 130 through. I'm not sure what it's going to look like for you guys in the bikes. You guys a bit braver, I think. Well, you'll probably come around here at in excess of 130, and then once you turn 3 and start heading up the hill, we're actually pushing the noise over to our huge big noise wall, rather than straight down the hill and across the valley and directly towards some of our good neighbours. So at great expense for the management, we decided to bite the bullet and do that. And we think it's going to be a very, very positive change and well received, because it's going to be a lot faster circuit. It's quite amazing that we've gone from I think it was 2,050 metres, I think was the old circuit.
Yep.
Sorry, beg your pardon. It was 2.2 kilometres, beg your pardon, and it's now 2,350. So we're about 150 metres or so longer than we used to be, slightly longer circuit. But in saying that, our simulator seems to suggest that we'll probably be doing similar lap times and possibly faster.
Yeah, that's what I was seeing with that when you were saying that, how much that opens up. That when I first saw that turn 2, I thought, well, that's a 160k corner going through there for the lads, the brave lads.
The brave lads, yeah. Yeah, so the old, I don't know, you probably call it medium straight, would pretty much go up through with that little bundle of conduits coming up out of the ground. We're about 50 or 60 or 70 metres even back over towards the east from where it used to be. Like I said before, this straight is approximately where the old sound meter used to be. So we've moved everything right over. I'm not sure whether you can see from this angle just how big this runoff area is.
Yeah, I'm getting a fair idea of it. Yep.
It's we hope that it's an exceptionally fun experience to come down the hill into this turn here. Not only fun, super exciting, but really, really safe. There's just an enormous amount of runoff. And even if, God forbid, you laid the bike down, there's still plenty of time to stop the bike before you come into contact with anything.
What about on the infield as well? Are you having an access road built around there, or anything for recovery and stuff like that?
Well, remember the little road that linked up Main Straight to the Fishhook?
Yep.
That we've pulled all that out and remediated that for our junior driver training program. So that's the only internal road that's remaining. Everything else has been pulled up. All of the old hill climb area has been pulled up. Because we've expanded our impervious areas, we've needed to make sacrifices in a lot of area. So we've pulled up external perimeter roads, asphalted perimeter roads, internal perimeter roads. Like I said, the old goat track up the top of the hill for the hill climb, all that's gone. We've removed all that as well. So the numbers are sort of give a tree, take a tree sort of concept we've been up to minimise our impact.
No, there's certainly some work that's just, I'm sitting here sort of dumbfounded at the scope of what you're undertaking. It's not just refurbishing a little bit, it's just you're building a new track, right? Basically, from what I can gather here, and I'm sure Troy would agree with it after you've been up there. I'm seeing it from afar for the first time, but to see what they've been doing there, and it's it's at least it gives a good perspective of what people have been relating to, that how much effort and work you've been putting into it.
Yeah, look, I appreciate people's patience, but I got to reiterate that we've been basically sprinting for 14 to 15 months on this. There hasn't been a day we haven't been focused on achieving this goal. And all of our team has just been going as hard as they can. We've had a huge amount of investment, emotionally and philosophically, from a lot of people that have leaned in to try and help us get done what we're getting done. But I'm proud of what we've been able to achieve in this short amount of time. We want to get this place back open as quickly as possible, so that we can, start enjoying the place again.
So when do you think I know how long's a piece of string, particularly with the weather, but if you continue to have days like this, and the days are getting longer now as well, like I said, you'll probably be bringing out the spotlights at different times to make sure that you can get as much work done in 24 hours as possible.
Yeah, well, like I said, we've got a drop dead date of the second week in October. We've got the ASBK, the first weekend in October. So we don't really have much choice, mate. We just got to give it everything we've got, try and get there. We might even put out a bit of a call for help to our friends in the motor racing fraternity, whether they're spectators or racers, to maybe come along, give us a bit of a hand, pick up a rake or a paintbrush or a gurney or whatever the hell. But I'm stressed. I don't mind admitting I'm stressed, and I like to try and honour the promises and commitments we've made, and we said we're going to get this done. So, what do you do? We just got to give it our best. We put a big gantry in over there. That'll allow us to put our light panels, our MyLapse light panels, hanging down so they're nice and visual. Got another one down there at the our turn 1-2 complex, or 12-13 complex, depending on which way you look at it. What we want to do, or what we have done, is we've actually called that beautiful big hill down there, we've called that Anzac Hill. So our turn 1, 2, 3 or 13-14 complex might become known as Anzac. What we're pretty keen to do is, like the Fishhook, people, if someone says there's an incident at the Fishhook, you don't have to think about it. You know exactly where it is. So we want to get to the point that people know exactly where to look if there's an incident. And whilst there might be, timing or other things that you might want to have more of an official name for a turn number, we're just going to have nicknames.
I think the names are a better one, considering that the race track's going to be going both ways, and that way it's easily identifiable whichever way you go. And when you said Anzac, I remember you telling me a while ago about Pheasant Wood. That's named after what happened in World War One with your family ancestor.
That's right, Braxy. My great grandfather was killed in the First World War at a little town called Fromelles in the north of France. And he and 249 of his comrades were killed in action on the first day of battle. It was Australia's most horrific day of battle, where I think it was 3,400 odd people were killed or mortally wounded in one day. And my dear great grandfather was killed in that battle. we never knew what happened to him. He just vanished off the face of the earth. But back in 2010, they found this mass grave and returned these amazing heroes and built a war memorial or a cemetery over there in the north of France, and they called the cemetery Pleasant Wood. So as a shrine, if you like, or a mark of our respect, we called our beautiful little racetrack down at Marulan Pleasant Wood.
And you told me that when I want to get onto that, that's been put on hold, but you still got a lot of aims and dreams to turn that into an international complex, and you're going to have an Anzac theme for all the corners there. So it's like you're transferring that to certain aspects of this one as well.
Correct. Yeah, look, that's true, but I haven't got any more bandwidth to even think about that at the moment, mate. I really want to focus on our junior driver training program and our driver training programs in general. Motorsport, as a matter of fact, I think we've got the Federal Police up there all this week using Pheasant Wood as a training facility. They love it up there. So it really lends itself to junior driver training. I know that Troy spends a lot of time out there training people how to ride bikes fast, and they pick those skills up and then they bring them to a place like this where they can really let those skills out of the bag and race in a much more enjoyable and safe way.
Well, Troy, I think there's 2 venues for the Troy Corsa Racing School by the look of it coming up.
Well, like Steve just said, Pheasant Wood Racer actually really does lend itself to a training facility. It's got all the complex, all the stuff that you need there. It's nice and close. It's quite technical. It's not very fast, but that's good because people have a chance to learn the skills how to control a car or a motorcycle. So what Steve just touched on then is to use that as a training area to even almost provide like a licensing facility where you have to come and do X amount of training at that facility before you're allowed to go and compete on these full wide open GP circuits around the country. So I really do enjoy Pheasant Wood. Like Steve said, I spend a fair bit of time up there doing some training schools up there. They actually hold 4-hour motorcycle races up there on little 150cc's. There's actually one coming up this weekend, actually.
Well, I want to go and do another one myself. I ended up on the podium last time.
I know that you were up there doing some laps there, Brack. So it was, but like, just getting back to it for Steve to have that foresight to see, let's use that as a training program. I know he's very well involved with the driving training program up there with the government and with the police. And that's what we need. We need safer riders, drivers on the track and also out in the street. So hats off to you, Steve, for all the work you've done up there. It's unbelievable the amount of stuff that you've done since I've been there. And I know you've done a lot of stuff before I had actually come there for the first time. So, yeah, great job by you and your team up there, mate. And really looking forward to getting up there.
No, I appreciate your support there, mate. I really do. It's a fantastic thing we do. I don't know whether you know it, but between Camden and Canberra has the unfortunate statistic of having a fatality rate about 12 times higher than the national average. And I think a lot of that's got to do with the location, the geo, and the fact that there's not a lot to do Friday night in some of those areas. And young blokes typically get out and do stupid things with their mates in the car. And it's a cultural thing where they want to let their hair down and show off to their mates. And it often ends up in tragedy. So we'd like to think that we play a part in changing that culture and giving young blokes and young girls the opportunity to get out, have a bit of fun in their car and stretch its legs a bit and learn what it's capable of doing and what they're capable of doing, as opposed to finding that out as a tree or a telegraph pole. But yeah. But anyway, look, just dipping back into this for a second, I'll just flip this back around. Here's an example of we're right up the top of the race circuit.
That's old turn 4, is it?
Yeah, old turn 4. Correct. Yeah. So you can see where we've milled up the old circuit used to be right over there. Can you see that? We're going to take that shallow part out there. We're going to turn that back into grass. But the old circuit used to have ripple strip, which started about 1.5 meters in from where we are now. All that where the old circuit was, plus the ripple strip, plus a bit more, is now circuit. So when you used to come up through here, if you were underpowered, you'd often touch this ripple strip out here on the left-hand side. So I always felt that if the circuit was another 300 or 400 mil wider, you'd probably be able to go through there on the optimum racing line without touching the ripple strip. And that's what we've done. We've massaged, we've blown out the circuit a little bit and narrowed it a bit on the inside, up around here. And everybody else...
Which I guess that in turn, Steve, when the circuit goes in the opposite direction, that's going to slow down the speed down into that last corner a bit, isn't it? So that your entry speed onto the straight isn't quite so fast because of the pit lane entry there.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. And then you've only got to go back and look at any of the old ASBK YouTube videos, and you see probably 20 or 30% of the bikes as they turn through here at turn 5, they'd actually push out wide onto that very aggressive Vela Longa bloody sawtooth ripple strip. And I don't know I've never actually ridden a bike around here, Troy. I can imagine that would be a pretty unnerving experience, banking around a turn like this, a high-speed turn, and ending up out on those aggressive ripple strips. I know they're there for that reason, to just encourage people to do that, but I believe that's about where the racing line should have been. So that's what we've done. You can see on the right-hand side here where the circuit used to be about 2 metres wider. We've blown the circuit out to be about 2 metres wider to the left.
I remember that section there, Steve, when we're up in the car and we go through that bit quite a few times to get that curve and the radius. And you were mentioning about let's take some away from the inside and give some to the outside.
Correct.
And yeah, that's going to work fantastic. And like I said, the amount of work just to go into change that little sector. It looks quite immense than just saying, okay, let's just put some asphalt on the outside and put some grass on the inside. So,
yeah.
And you'll have bitumen on the outside of that for runoff as well?
Can you say that again, please, mate?
Will you have bitumen on the outside of that as well, like you have at the first and last corners?
Oh, no. It's going to be grass runoff. So I think you can't have asphalt everywhere. Otherwise, it'd be 100 acres of asphalt. But we're trying to, as carefully as possible in the highest speeds we have our runoff, but where there's corners, we're just going to have to trust people who've got the racecraft skills not to go off it, like they always.
Like the old school, mate. Like the old school, if you run off, you're on the grass, not AstroTurf or something.
Like Steve touched on there earlier, having the runoff area, asphalt or grass. I think those two surfaces cut out a lot of injuries and damage to vehicles and riders. Some of these gravel traps that you see some of these riders go into, they slide really nicely until they hit that gravel trap and it just starts flicking them and they start doing somersaults. And let's use an example at Morgan Park last weekend, Braxy, turn 3. They just lost the front end, nice little slide. The bike hit the gravel and actually started the cartwheel before it hit the fence. Where if it would have just slid straight into the fence, it would have stayed flat and probably not ended up over the top or getting airborne, let's say.
Yeah. Very much so, yep.
Yeah. So, look, we can talk all day. I reckon we could go for a walk right around the circuit, coming down to the old fishhook. And but as you would know, the fishhook tightens up quite considerably in the Wakefield direction, in the clockwise direction. But it tightens up a hell of a lot faster when you're coming back the other way in the Shelley direction. So it's we've had to make some fairly significant changes on what used to be the entry into the fishhook is now the exit from the fishhook. We've had to blow that out quite considerably to allow racers to come through there and not just go out into the infield.
Yeah, I can understand that where you're doing just by looking at it there on screen where it seems to open up a bit.
It does, yeah. We've really pushed the circuit out quite a lot, out to the right.
Mate, from the back, going backwards or anti-clockwise looks very, very well as good, if not better, than the old clockwise direction. It's going to be a very challenging circuit.
Mate, I've got a feeling that a lot of people are going to enjoy the new direction, the Shelley Loop, as equal to, and some are going to like the Shelley Loop even more than the old Wakefield Loop. I've got to tell you that I've done thousands of laps here, and when I drive around here in the new direction, none of it feels familiar. it's like a complete new circuit. So in a way, I think we've introduced a whole new circuit to New South Wales. There's only 2 circuits in New South Wales, plus little old Pheasantwood up the road, the sister circuit. But we've got Sydney Motorsport Park and we've got one raceway. But now we have 2 circuits at one raceway, and I believe it's going to be a genuine offering, as a genuine new circuit. So it could possibly be in the future that we might have one round of the ASBK in the Wakefield Loop, and later on the year you have a round in the Shelley Loop, and it's a completely different experience.
I think just do it from one day to the next. Don't worry about 6 months apart. I think that'd be a challenge for everybody, the setups and everything. And it'd just be, wow, talk about add another dynamic to motorsport and all the philosophy and everything that goes with racing. It's just magnificent.
Well, here's an example. Can you see how much we've taken away there? There's 2,000 mil. There's 2 meters there where we've moved from the old circuit, and we put it back over this side. So we've moved the circuit coming into the fishhook over 2 meters.
Opened it right up.
Well, not only is it going to make a faster entry into the fishhook, it's going to make it a much smoother transition through the fishhook. But coming back in the new Shelley Loop, if you're coming out of the fishhook and the track ended up over here, everyone's going to be on the infield. So we bit the bullet, made the changes we wanted to do, and then, it may or may not be familiar to most people. They'll probably get used to this pretty quickly, but coming down here into the fishhook, the old Wakefield Park, a lot of people would put a tyre off on the right-hand side. There was big holes, and there was concrete patches, and there was big puddles of water, and lots of damage caused to vehicles. But we've resolved all of that too. We pushed that out a bit wider where that old green patch of concrete used to be. We've made that a much faster flowing section through there. And this is our beautiful big internal curb. It's 195 metres long.
It looks like you've got a whole heap of sweepers, really, that every corner you've opened up, that it's raised the average speed quite considerably.
It has. There's not one corner that's slower. Everything is definitely faster. And put down a brand new asphalt, motorsport specific asphalt surface. It's going to be much, much, much faster, let alone the physical changes we've made to the track.
So you're going to be the first one to christen it, obviously, going both ways. I'd like to hopefully be up there and witness it when it does happen in the next couple of months. I suppose it's all got to be done.
Well, in the next few weeks, we'll have the asphalt down, and once roadworks give us the all clear that we're right to start driving, I think we need to start thinking about where we're going to put various line marking for our pit lane entries and our pit lane exits, and all the other line marking that goes with it. So it's going to be. I might even grab you down, Troy, to give us your expert opinion and where things should happen. We're certainly going to lean on Motorsport Australia and 2 and 4 to give us their opinion, and we'll just do what they want us to do. But
mate, I'll be more than happy to get up there and give you a hand there, mate, to show you from a motorcycle rider's eye, what we're going to see. Because as we know, you've got the eye for the car side, and if we work together with both affiliations, I can't see why we can't get it nailed, mate.
Yeah, we might reach out to our friends in motorsport and see if anybody wants to come and volunteer to cut a few laps. I don't know if we'll get any takers. There might be.
No, I think I could pull a few touring car drivers off the top of my head that'd love to get down there pretty soon.
Yeah. Here's our little loop road. Give you an idea, this loop road here, we had to go down 2.5 meters, like that's taller than that vehicle over there, before we could find solid ground, before we needed to rebuild this one little loop road. We just kept digging and digging. It was just flush. It was just like Milo. And we eventually got to the point that we could find solid ground, and then we had to build it up with stabilised road base so that we had something structural that we could lean on in the future.
2.5 meters, like that's nearly 10 feet. Yeah,
it's crazy. It's just the whole thing was just wet. But on the upside of every area of our circuit, we've got either drainage bits and pipes or bag line or above ground swale drains, capturing and controlling all the water. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
Well,
a big job. We're getting there.
yeah, no, you've done an awesome job there, Stephen. Like we see, it's still got a bit of work to do, but like I said, I know you've got a great team of workers up there and volunteers and helpers. And if anyone, like Steve said, anybody is keen to get up there and give a hand at a later date, then I'm sure we'll be able to find some way to on this channel here to put the word out. Get people up there on days and stuff to get up there. So I think you'll find the motorcycle fraternity will get up there and give you a hand to get that thing up and running.
Well, there's a lot of motorcyclists in Gold, passionate motorcyclists in Goulburn. I know that'd be willing to jump out there.
Well, I might take you up on that in the next week or two. We'll probably get a bit of a handle on it. We put the call out early for volunteers, and we had quite a good response where people were said, "I'll come and give you a hand." But then we realised just the volume of work that was required. We weren't ever going to get it done by ourselves. The more we investigated, the more we realised that there was a much bigger job that was required to do what was required here. So volunteers and commercial civil works companies probably don't go hand in hand in the same workplace. So we kind of had to stand that one down. But towards the pointy end, once all this civil works has been done, there's going to be an enormous amount of man hours required to finish off what we're doing so that we can present the way we want to present the best we can, short amount of time for the first weekend in October.
Really looking forward to it, mate. And I'm sure you'll nail it. You'll be working from daybreak to dusk and a little bit longer, I presume. But, mate, thanks for the time you've given us to show us around. And as we know, it's a monumental exercise, and the work that you've done as we're coming up now to what was used to be, what was this, about turn 8 or 9, wasn't it? The fast left-hander that led down to that little back straight.
Correct. And people would know as well, coming out of the old fish hook, and then just you would invariably get pushed out onto this ripple strip out here. The ripple strip started about there. So we've got about 1,200 or 1,400 wider circuit now, so that you come out of the fish hook probably with a lift rather than a dab. And I'm not sure. I'm looking forward to trying that one out.
There'll be a lot of black lines out of there, I reckon.
I think so. But coming back down, the old back straight down towards the old turn 10, that was, if you go back and look at any old videos of the ASBK, it was super bumpy. I would think that there's 15 or 20 separate occasions that bike tyres come off the ground, rear tyres come off the ground under braking. It was so bumpy. It was pretty dangerous and aggressive turn. And one of the biggest changes that we've made for a safety point of view is coming out of the old turn 10. I was absolutely amazed to see how close riders used to go to the pit wall, because they were still washing wide, carrying so much corner speed coming out of the old turn 10 as they're rejoining the straight. There was a white line, and a lot of the bikes were actually outside of the white line, just about touching the grass, and 1 or 2 metres in front of them was the start of the pit wall, which came at them at 45 degrees. There was one occasion where one rider actually hit that wall, and he stopped in the tyre wall, and his bike went over the wall and ended up in pit lane. One of the garages.
Ted Collins, I remember being there that day.
Yeah, well, that's one of the big changes we have made, so that sort of thing just won't happen again.
And this is where you've got the little left hand. Now it's got the left hand kink before you get into the final turn.
Correct. Yeah. So it's a right hand kink coming from this direction. I'll walk down there. We'll come this far, and I'll also show you the rest of it. Those trucks are just on the track. There will be a curb to the left. That'll be going in the next day or two. Then they'll asphalt up to that curb. Yeah. So these are. I know you're picking that up on this camera. You can actually see that the circuit comes out towards the trucks.
Yep.
So you swing out and then dive down and wrap around into the slingshot.
And with that banking, that just adds a bit of extra confidence in everybody to tip it in there and get good drive onto the straight, or in the other way, coming off the straight and get good drive up towards the fish hook.
So you can see that that's where the old straight used to be, down through there. Pop over to this side. We've gone into the infield about 3 metres. There, that white line down there is the underneath that paving machine. That's the old driver's right coming into the turn 10. So we've actually 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we've come out 5 metres.
Wow.
So we're about 5 metres wider to allow people to. I don't know how the camera's picking up that it's actually a disc bowl, like a bank turn. Yeah, there's an example of some of our swales.
Absolutely phenomenal, Steve. We really appreciate your time walking us around the One Raceway circuit there and showing us the inside of all the work behind the scenes that obviously people don't get a chance to see or understand. But like you said, it's fantastic to have someone with so much passion to give back to the racing fraternity.
Yeah,
and hopefully by putting this out there, everybody will really now understand the effort, the time, the financial commitment, and the emotional commitment that you've been putting in. Plus, everybody tipping in, like you said, the council's right behind it. The amount of workers you got there on any day, it's you mate. Hats off to you, and you and your brothers should be very proud of what you've achieved in in a short space of time, considering that you've been affected by the weather. Well, basically lost about 3 months, I presume, with the weather there, talking to Richard Taparis and co.
Yeah, and thinking about young Tommy, hurt himself on the weekend. Richard, his dad's working down here helping us build certain critical elements, and Tommy came off on the weekend, and I think he hit a bit of crocodile, freaking broken up asphalt, sent him wide high side and cracked his pelvis, so he's out of action for a while, but he's a good young kid. He'll get back on the bike and get out here, and hopefully he'll be a starter, given that it's his local circuit. Hopefully he'll be out here on first weekend in October and show him how to do it.
And I think there might be a Troy Herfoss that might be busting his nut to get back down there and christen the circuit as well.
I'm looking forward to welcoming all those lads, or the local lads. Should be a great weekend, and I know we're not going to get it right. We're going to let a few people down here. There's a lot of logistics to consider, and we don't know how to run a venue this big. We haven't done it before, but hopefully people will be patient with us and let us learn along the way. And with all the parking and all the people, which we hope will come along and enjoy the event, it's going to be a fascinating weekend, and we're really excited about it. We're pumped up and can't wait to bring this place back to life on the first weekend in October.
Mate, be proud of it, because without you guys, it would be a housing estate by now.
Yeah, or moo cows or something, but yeah. Anyway, all right, you're in the picture. We're pushing on. We're giving it our best, and we'll see you down here on the first weekend in October.
If not before, mate, but much appreciate your time. We really do appreciate it here at Let's Talk Motorsport.
On you. All right, Braxy. See you, Troy.
Yeah, Steve. We'll catch up soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thanks for your time.
See you guys. Bye.
And Troy, what a monumental effort that is, and to be watching that as Steve gets back to the real serious stuff of working and doing his stuff. But, what a great insight to see that we've got that already, and it's not too far away that it's going to be, up and running. There's a lot of work to be done, but, man, these guys have really pushed ahead with it. And it's I'll really appreciate the time that he's taken for us to go and have a look at it and to walk a lap to see what is actually there. And it's almost as good as being there.
Yeah, absolutely, Braxton. Like I said, I went up there in the early stages, actually, when they were just starting to decide what they were going to do, actually, and what shape they were going to change and stuff like that. And to see the amount of work that they've done in that amount of period of time with the limited time they've had because of the conditions, like you said, and other stuff. But as you can see, he's 200% focused in getting this project done over the line. And it's for the motorsport industry within Australia, let alone New South Wales. Like he said, for us to have another high-level circuit, we've got Sydney Motorsport Park, which is fantastic, but to have a new facility in Goulburn, a little bit closer, sort of in the Canberra area, so a bit closer to Melbourne, I think it's a great area for the circuit, which has always worked in the past, like they said, for the local government and local businesses down there, the hotels, the pubs, the bars, the restaurants and stuff, that they're really feeling the pinch that they lost that circuit. So
Oh, they have, yeah.
For them guys to jump back on board and really get behind Steve and the Shelley family, and Steve to put the work and the time in. Like you said, not very often does the boss man get down there and get his hands dirty himself. I rang one day to go up there and have a meeting. He goes, mate, don't come today. It's pissing down rain. I'm down in the sump with water pumps pumping out water.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's his little baby. Like we know, he's a mad car racer. And I don't think it's going to be very long before we get him on a road bike. I'm really looking forward to put him on the back and doing a pillion ride with him. But I think he's already said no to that. But,
I think you'd be able to talk him into it because he is a pretty handy. He does the offer. He rode down here one day to one weekend to the Grand Prix with a couple of mates on his GS 1200 and stuff. So if he says he can't ride, I think he might be understating himself too, because he's probably a lot better rider than what he gives himself credit for.
Yeah, well, what I like about Steve is he's a bit like myself. Steve loves racing and stuff, but he's all about the safety aspect of motor cars. Hence why the Pheasantwood race circuit, he's developed that into a training program with the police to take young kids, I think as young as 12 years old, they take kids out there and they put them in cars. There've probably been kids who have been picked up and for stealing cars and putting police on a chase ride, and they put them in these cars and say, right, show us what you can do, teach them how to drive, and it is actually cutting down fatalities. So that's sort of what I'm sort of about doing the riding schools is, yes, one about going to a racetrack and going faster and all that. But for me, it's more about being safer on the road, on the track, and respect about rules and how far you can, and injuries and stuff like that. And that's that whole package. And that's what I really like about Steve's focus on this racetrack. It's not all about going faster. He's looking at the safety side of things, making it safer and more enjoyable for not just the racer, also for the spectators. Like those hills that he's put up around the outside of turn 1, 2, 12, 13, either end of the straight, that's going to produce some really good spectating area, which we know at some circuits you go to and you see 1 or 2 corners and that's about it. So thinking of that, he wants families to come. I know he's going to have some entertainment for kids and stuff. So it's really going to be a motorsports complex, a Disneyland. He called himself his own little Disneyland. And I think it's going to be a motorsport Disneyland in the future.
I'm really looking forward to it. And I must say, well, he might have gone, but thanks for him for giving his time up. I know it's been an hour and a half. We've really been talking and getting that guided tour of this one raceway. And mate, I'm really glad that he gave it to us, because I'm sure the viewers, all your viewers, now that we have to do it was his suggestion to do the video, not the us. He rang me to say, well, why don't I just take you for a lap of the track with the camera? And well, we're going to put it on the Let's Talk Motorsport YouTube channel. And I think it'll give everybody a really good insight into what's happened, and especially when he spoke about the underground works with the drainage and, you know, the piping and everything they're doing, the sumps. So there's going to be no worry about if it does rain, it's not going to as if it's we've seen at other races. I'm not going to name any racetracks where it's got flooded or anything. I'll try and put any shit on them. But he's gone back to the drawing board. He's had that basically a blank canvas. He's got that track there, but he's ripped it up, and it was only used as really a template because everything's changed now.
Absolutely, like you said, for him to open the doors, let's say, to that, or the front gates of that facility, but it's not looking its best, I guess you could probably say, but very proud to show everybody about all the work that's going on under the ground, pretty much, so that when they're out there standing on the ground, they know if it is raining, they're not going to get wet feet.
Yeah, well, like that bit outside of the fish hook, going down 2.5 meters before they found firm ground, be able to start putting that back in so that all that water will, I can imagine what's underneath there. It'll be a labyrinth of piping and everything. So there's a monumental amount of money being spent there that you'll never, ever see.
Well, like Steve said, those fields, they're cow pasture fields. So you know what cows do, don't you? So there's probably a lot of that stuff down on the ground underneath all that grass. So no, like you said, they've thought about it. They've got all the right people involved with it, and they're making sure they do it right. They're not going to take any shortcuts. And so fingers crossed. I hope that the weather's on side and they can get all their engineering side stuff done, what they need to do with professionals. But like he said, he's going to need to reach out, and I hope we can support him the motorsport industry. For, going up there and just putting some paint on some walls or planting a couple of trees up on those banks and stuff. That all those last little minute things that he's thinking about, he wants to put and get done. But he hasn't got time to do that, and it's not quite ready time to do it. But when it comes to it, I know I myself, I'm going to be up there giving him a hand, and I know there's a few local races down this area. They're more than happy to come up there and to get that track up and running, because it's only a big benefit for all of us motorcycle enthusiasts.
I think once the word gets out there, we'll be inundated with volunteers and everybody trying to help, because motorsport people, whether you're a club racer or a Grand Prix rider, you're passionate about the sport and passionate about the facilities that you need. But no, he's done really well, and I'm really proud that we've been able to get access to that, because I don't think there's many people that he'd actually open the doors to. So, you know, and thanks to you and thanks to Steve. And, you know, I've met him through Kenny Watson, that when a couple of years ago now, we went up to Pheasant Wood and had a look at that facility, and his dreams there. Yes, he's sure he's still got all those dreams to turn that into a facility, but he's got this one in the meantime. So within about 5 or 10 years, we could have two magnificent facilities within 20 k's of each other in the Southern Highlands of New South Wales, which is great. And as you said, halfway between Sydney and Canberra and Melbourne. And Melbourne's a 6-hour drive to get up there, 7-hour drive to get up there. And it'll bring people from all over the country to it, because that's going to be so fast and entertaining. And he's thinking it. He's not just a businessman thinking of building a racetrack. He's an enthusiast that knows what a racetrack is. Like he said, he's done thousands of laps around Wakefield Park. So he's got the driver's idea. You've got the rider's idea. The Taparis have been out there helping him out as well. So it's not as if he's open to all suggestions. That's the great part about him. And he's very humble at the same time about what he's doing.
100%, can't agree more than with you there, Braxy.
All right, mate. Well, we'll shut off Let's Talk Motorsport this time, but we've gone one step beyond to go audio, and I'll close it up now. But
yeah, no, looking forward to our next session on Let's Talk Motorsport.